as we all patiently await the Mythic Legions Beyithirr the Dragon, I thought I would do my top 5 predictions for the dragon. Kind of things that I think are good predictions or interesting predictions. Some of them may not be like plausible or even likely, but I think that they should be on our minds, or I need them to be on my mind in order to properly save up and plan around this massive campaign that is going to come up. So currently it is tentatively scheduled for a March campaign. Four Horsemen Studios put an update and they said it's going to launch in March. This will be a pre-order campaign. So after that, it'll go into pre-production and all that stuff, and it'll take, a while for it to come out. So just be aware of that. I do think that the timeline will probably be a little bit faster than a typical like large Mythic Legions wave. One of those waves that has like 10 figures with a lot of new parts and a ton of, and you have like 10 different products that you're managing and dealing with, and one little thing slows down all the others. This is like all their energy and attention in this wave, so to speak, is sort of focused all on that dragon. So that, plus the fact that they've already got a head start on this, much further along on the dragon than they do with a typical pre-order, where the factory has already been producing silicone molds, the kind of like precursor to the solid molds later, and they've been sending them test shots essentially off of those molds. So that like tweaking and plant, like all of that like factory process has already begun. So those two factors, the fact it's like one singular item, plus the fact that it is already a head start, makes me think it's not going to be a typical like 18-month to 24-month pre-order. It might be more like a year. So a lot of people are saying, oh, this isn't going to come out till 2027. And while that may happen, I highly doubt it. I think it's more likely going to be something that hits in the middle of 2026, about a year out from the end of the pre-order, which I think will, if I'm right, run from March to like the end of May. So you're at about the middle of the year. So I would say like about a year out from that. Anyway, so that's kind of what we know, or what we can kind of speculate. Some of the predictions that didn't make my top 5, swag items was one interesting one. So like pins, patches, card stickers, things like that could kind of add a little extra to like actually the shipped product, but not necessarily tooled up plastic action figure pieces. I think that could be possible, though not terribly like interesting to me. I like the pins. I am a fan of all the pins that they do, especially like the Figura Obscura pins and stuff. But it feels like that could be something that they do. And then another prediction that a lot of people have said is a saddle for the dragon as a stretch goal. But they talked about the lore of the dragon not being a species that is ridden or tamed or controlled by any other person. So I doubt that they're going to do a saddle. I think they're going to leave that to the customizers to, 3D print or fabricate their own, and that I don't think a saddle is going to be a part of it. So I'm not putting it on this list, but hey, you never know. If they hear the demand and they hear everybody asking for it, they potentially could do it. So I don't think anything's off the table. And I will also say that these are my predictions. These are not necessarily what I expect to happen. These are not, in some ways they're somewhat hopes and somewhat fears a little bit. But like, this is not, I don't have any sort of insider information. I don't have any, anything to go off of except for this is all speculation. So throw your own speculation down in the comments below. Let me know like what your predictions are. Let me know if you think any of mine are like right on target or way off base. But anyway, let's get into this. Coming in at number 5 is that I think they're going to do a book product to go along with it, similar to what Hasbro did with the Sail Barge HasLab. So if you're familiar with that one, they created a book called Behind the Bench, and it was kind of to document the product and the progress and all of the kind of like the background stuff, like a little documentary book about it. And we know that the Horsemen are in the process of publishing books. They have their first one going up for pre-order on January 13th. That is the history of the figures and the first 10 years. And then they also have a narrative novel coming out, illustrated. They also have a game, D&D style RPG that's going to be in the works as well. So they are interested in publishing books. So there's that side of it. And they're also interested in documenting things in sort of the documentary process, as we've seen with Brad Treadaway now joining the Horsemen. He did that beautiful video documentary for the Dragon a couple of weeks ago that came out on their YouTube channel. So I kind of think, and this is like, to me, I don't think anybody has mentioned anything like this yet. I feel like they could do a behind the scenes, behind the bench, or behind the workbench, or whatever that one was called from Hasbro. Like, I think they could do something similar to that, and it would be very cool. It would be a very nice, classy kind of addition to a big, groundbreaking toy experience project like this. So number 5, a book. Number 4, I've seen numerous people predict this one. I know Colin Culp was hoping for this. I'm hoping for this as well. I don't know how likely it is, but I think it would be really cool if the Horsemen actually produced that stone mountain outcropping like diorama base that they had on display and in some of the photos. I think that would be awesome to have a base like that, because if it's custom made and it's specific to the Dragon, you can get it into a nice position, have a nice base area where you have a very specific size, and dimensions. So it almost in some ways would turn it into like a statue type piece where it has a base and a diorama piece. So I think that would be really good to have one that is like perfectly shaped for the Dragon. And I would really love that. I would love to just kind of like level up that display space, because not everybody is a foam carving customizer, and it would be really nice to have a piece like that to go with the Dragon. So number 4 is a diorama base. Number 3, the next prediction is figures, and I'll get into some specifics now. They did say in their most recent update, when they announced that it would be planned for March, they did say that stretch goal figure inclusions to be revealed. Now, somebody pointed out that could mean inclusions for this Dragon figure, but I kind of feel like the wording is careful enough that figures to be included could be or should be read into that. So, or a figure to be included. Now, the question would be like, is this something where, let's say you have the Dragon and you purchase the Dragon and you've, through the campaign, we've unlocked this figure. Is that figure going to now come with the Dragon, similar to like a HasLab, or is it going to be a situation like a Kickstarter where you're going to unlock this additional option to purchase these other figures? I don't know. Personally, I kind of lean towards it being like just included with the Dragon, just like something that's added and included, because I feel like when you add a figure like that, you're incentivizing the purchase of more Dragons, right? Like you're more further incentivizing a purchase of the Dragon, where if you say this will get unlocked if enough Dragons are purchased, but it'll be a separate purchase, like there's going to be a whole bunch of people just waiting and hoping that those other people purchase the Dragon so that they can have access to that figure. And it just doesn't feel like it's necessarily something that is going to drive the campaign really well. So it's kind of a tricky one, because then after the fact, you're going to have people sort of only being able to get like one at a time with their one Dragon, and like you could potentially open up the opportunity to like order extras, or maybe like if you buy a Dragon, you have access to those additional figures, but not unless you buy the Dragon. I don't know, but there's a couple different ways they could go with figures, and I feel like it's pretty it, like, at least the fact that they're going to make figures alongside this thing is pretty obvious based on the wording of that update. So, couple predictions. One would be the charred skeletons. So on display at Legions Con, they had the dragon, one of the two dragons they had on display, had the fire breathing, and it had charred figures around it. It had like charred skeletons around it. And so that seems like a very obvious thing. I know people have been loving the version 2 skeleton, the Skeleton Legion Builder 2, and it's also coming out in those packs, 4-packs and stuff. So I could totally see that being that colorway of that skeleton being something where it's like, okay, you're not totally locked out of this product by locking it behind a dragon, but this colorway, this variant of it, yes. So I think that would be pretty cool if they did charred skeletons. The other one would be, I'm seeing a lot of people, and I was initially predicting this too, but the Rhaegor version 2. If they put Rhaegor version 2 as an unlock, as a stretch goal, I think that would also be like a huge driver and traction for this figure. Even if they don't want to go back and do Rhaegor, I know that was a tribute, but if they don't want to go back and do Rhaegor, they could do another character in Rhaegor's tribe or faction or whatever that has similar colors, that's like maybe an ally to Rhaegor or somebody associated with Rhaegor. They could also do a figure that is like another one of the dragon cult worshippers or whatever, like Araya the Talon Bearer. So those are kind of like 3 possible options for a figure, and that is the number 3 prediction. My number 2 prediction is about the price. And I know that they said it's definitely going to be like over $300, but it's definitely going to be under $1,000. Like it's going to be, they described it as something like similar in price to an all-in for like one of their big G-Con waves. Like the Necronominus wave, I think was $560. They're always in that like $500 somewhere price range. So my prediction for the price is going to be this. We know it's going to be a base dragon, with its wings and, with the regular wings and just the regular head and stuff. And then I think maybe some alternate feet or whatever, but there's going to be like the base dragon. And then they showed the different parts, the expanded wings. So you swap out the wings, the swap out head and neck, the big fire effect, the flame effect, extra feet and stuff. So though we know there's going to be like a base dragon and then an add-on set. The question is, how much is it going to be? My prediction is the dragon will be $500. It'll be $499 for the base dragon. Keep it under $500. It'll be $500 for that regular standard dragon, and then it'll be $150 for that accessory set with the extra wings, the swap out wings, the fire, the extra head and all that. It'll be $150 for that, or it'll be $600 altogether. And a little add-on prediction is that I think they're going to, for the US customers, in a similar way that they've been doing the standard $10 shipping, I think they're going to, instead of saying, okay, everybody pay the calculated shipping, and then like people in California are paying $80 to ship it, and people in New York and the Northeast are paying $30 to ship it. I think they might bake the shipping price in. I'm not saying shipping is going to be free. I'm saying it's just going to be like baked into the price. So if it's, let's say it's a $500 dragon, then it's like, okay, it's a $450 dragon, and they've just baked that $50 shipping into it is kind of my prediction. So I'm saying $500 for the dragon, $600 with the accessory set. There's also the possibility that they could break out the different pieces of the accessory set, and that would like sort of complicate how, like if you're going to be like a little bit a la carte with it, like that makes it a little more complicated. But if they do go the route of having the dragon and the accessory set, my prediction is the dragon $500, accessory set $150, and then instead of it being $650, if you get the all in, it's $600. Though I don't know that they would just flat out sell the accessory pack alone, because then who would just buy that, right? That wouldn't make sense as a SKU. So maybe it's just $500 for the dragon or $600 for the dragon plus the add-on. So yeah, so that is my prediction, $500 dragon with shipping baked into the price. For US customers, I don't think they would ever bake the price of international shipping in, just because it's such a wild card and there are such high prices to ship something that big around the world. And my number one prediction, I don't necessarily want the next thing to happen, but I feel like it could happen. And that is a color variant of the dragon. If the Kickstarter, or they're not going to do a Kickstarter, but it's going to be a campaign style where they have to reach a certain number. If that campaign hits a certain spot, perhaps there's the option to buy a second other colored dragon, a color variant dragon. Maybe it's a black dragon. I know that they wouldn't want to just reproduce this exact dragon as part of the lore of their 5 pillars or whatever. So maybe it'll be something outside of that, some other, just like another color variant of this same character kind of thing. Maybe this character experiences something and it turns into a black dragon or something like that. Or maybe like in lore, there's a way for dragons to turn black, or I don't know. But like, I could see, I'm not necessarily hoping for this, but I could see there being a second dragon and it would just be a color variant of the same character. It wouldn't be a brand new. So like if you don't get it, like it wouldn't be like, oh, you're incomplete in terms of characters, but it's kind of interesting to speculate that. And it's really got me kind of planning in saving and selling to save and selling to pile money up. Like it's got me expecting to spend way more than what I think a single dragon is going to be. Like I'm kind of a little worried that I might have to, not have to, but like I'm going to be very tempted to buy 2 dragons, especially if the second look is as awesome as the first look. So we'll see. Or I mean, maybe they could even say do an unpainted one or something, because I know the customizers, I already know Eric Miller's buying an extra dragon just to paint, which is just insane to me, to paint over all that beautiful work. But maybe that is what it'll be. It'll be an unpainted one for customizers or something. Though the demand, I don't think the demand would be there for that. I know there's a few people who would do it, but like I just don't think there would be enough to justify another SKU in an unpainted version. Anyway, yeah, so those are my predictions. Again, I'm not necessarily hoping all these things happen. Some of them are wishes. Some of them are, oh, that was a good call. Some of them are kind of my own, like the book. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, may the force be with you.